Sunday, y'all. It is currently 2:30 New York City time on Sunday, March 8th. And it feels like spring outside. I'm gonna just do my usual Sunday food prep. I'll show you everything that I bought today. I spent about $26 on groceries today. And yeah, I'm just gonna cook some mush, which is gonna be lentils and greens with a little bit of rice on the stovetop. And then I'm gonna be cooking off some soaked green peas with barley in the Instant Pot, which you might have seen the video of me do. I've just been doing iterations of that pretty much every other week. And that's it. Welcome. I'm going to start off by washing off my farmer's market Japanese turnips. These are my all-time favorite veggies from the farmer's market to get. They're $4 lunch, but if I go like half an hour before closing, they discount it to 2 bunches for $6. So sometimes I go a little bit later and see if they're still in stock, and today they had a lot left. So I grabbed 2 bunches. These turnips are really crunchy and sweet, and then I like to rinse off the greens to cook on the stovetop. So that's what I'm going to do. It can be a little bit gritty, as you can see there. A lot of grit is trapped in the greens as well, so we're just going to rinse it a lot. And yeah, we'll start. I'm probably going to be live for 2.5, 3 hours today, honestly. I might run out of energy, but I would like to get all of the veggies prepped, and I bought a lot of broccoli too. So that's what's on the agenda. Welcome. I'm just going to trim off the turnips and wash the greens. I like to halve the greens so that they lay pretty flat in the bowl. Otherwise, some leaves get rinsed and some don't, and then you end up with gritty stuffs. I end up with gritty stuffs. But yeah, if you've been on these lives before, which I assume most of you have, you've seen me do this dozens of times, so nothing new here today, folks. Usually I start with the easiest veggies to wash, the ones that are the least gritty, so that I can kind of reuse the water. But I wanted to start with the turnip greens today because I want to get the lentils cooking. Because I haven't eaten lunch yet. and I would like to eat soon. So if I have a more leisurely paced day where I'm not on a live and I can go back and forth between my own stuffs, I will probably just like make myself a protein smoothie while I let these greens sit in here for like half an hour, and then I'll come back and rinse them and dump them. It also gives them a chance to rehydrate. Sometimes they're like a little bit wilty, but today we are on a faster paced schedule, so I'm gonna manually tussle them to get all the grit out and loosen up everything. Mexico City, hello. Daylight savings, yeah. Today I really effed myself because I forgot that it was going to be daylight savings. In fact, I totally didn't even know it was going to be daylight savings until I was scrolling on Instagram last night at like 1:30 a.m. and I saw on someone's story that it's about to be daylight savings, and I was like, oh, that means it's gonna be 3 a.m. in about half an hour. So I went to sleep, and then I woke up, and I was like, oh yeah, this is not enough sleep. So today's been a little bit rough, but I did it to myself. My sleep schedule is still pretty bad. Trying to get better, but work in progress for sure. Take out all the greens. I dump out all the water because it's very gritty. And then we do it again until it is clean. Okay, I'm gonna let this batch soak a little bit. I'm gonna get started on the lentils on the stovetop because we're not gonna start the lentils at the same time as the greens. The greens can go in later. The lentils are gonna be red lentils soaked right here on the countertop. And I bought so many bags of beans and lentils in the last month because the stores around me were having crazy Ramadan sales. I got several bags of beans for $3 for 4 pounds of beans. So like, just to show you the beans that I bought. These are like the brown, more fibrous kind of chickpeas. I actually don't like these, but I bought a bag to have on hand to either use as pie weights, or I've been sewing some beans into fabric to basically make myself some microwavable heat packs. I've discovered that, should have done this a long time ago, but heat packs are really effective for calming my period pains when I'm like really struggling. So I've been thinking about turning some of my like fabric scraps into basically bean bags, and then these bean bags can be chucked in the microwave and heated for about a minute, and they get nice and hot, and I can slip into bed and just like cuddle my beans and hope the pain goes away. Got some green peas, which, as you know, I've been enjoying with my barley. We're gonna cook that today. I got my all-time favorite red lentils. Like, incredibly, this was $2.50 for 4 pounds. Amazing. And I got some chana dal, which are apparently split chickpeas, but they don't look like chickpeas to me, so I wonder what kind of beans these are. But yeah, I got beans. I got beans for weeks and months and years, maybe. We'll see. I eat a lot of beans. And yeah, I know folks have been missing my lives. I took a pause because just felt so stressful during the holidays. Work got crazy. My mental health was running amok, and you know, reading 1 or 2 critical comments can really set me into a spiral, so I just needed a break. And then in the new year, I decided to make some videos to switch it up a little bit, so I did that. And just so you know, we're streaming off of my Pixel 2 XL, which is a phone manufactured in 2017. This phone is 9 years old. This was Aaron's hand-me-down like years ago, basically, and this was my backup phone. And ever since I lost my phone in October, / it got taken by someone who found it and did not return it to me, unfortunately. So kind of lost and / stolen. I've been using this phone as my default phone for everyday use, and we're streaming on it. The camera has been crapping out on me. You know, it's 9 years old. But we're still chugging along, so we're gonna use it for as long as we can. And I'm gonna cook some lentils. Just gonna add some oil into the pot, heat it up with some spices, add my lentils, add a little bit of water, and just let it simmer until it's nice and soft. I have a test batch of spices here. I have some spices on the countertop. It's just going to be a hodgepodge of seasoning today. I'm going to wing it. It's probably not going to be that delicious, but I kind of just don't feel good right now, so I don't feel like putting too much thought into it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Super low heat so that we're not burning any spices. About 2 tablespoons of oil of any kind. It could be butter. Basically just enough to coat the bottom of your pot so that you can bloom the spices a little bit and not have anything burn too quickly. I'm going to go in with definitely some black pepper and some nigella seed, which I've been trying to eat every day for health purposes. And at first I didn't love the flavor, but spices grow on you, which has been a really fun thing to learn for me because I used to hate nutmeg. I didn't like cloves. I'm working myself on saffron. Not a big fan of sumac, but with increased exposure, and you know, just experimenting it on your own terms, it's been fun. I've come around to a lot of things. I've been working on this wild Icelandic kelp that I also wasn't a fan of, but it's a really nice, like, oceany salt substitute, so I can not use as much salt in my cooking. I'll go in with this almost finished umami blend that is now discontinued, so I don't really need it on hand for newsletter writing purposes. And you know, there is a point at which too much spice is too much spice, but I like to push it. going to add in a little bit of this Saffron Golden Booster, which is a new blend. It has turmeric in it, which if you eat turmeric with black pepper together, they have basically antioxidants that kind of unlock each other's potential in your body. So pair them together if you want like maximal health benefits, I guess, from those antioxidants. I've just been doing that combo. This is my spice sludge that I'm going to toast. I'm also going to go in with a little bit of garlic and onion powder. I should put this in a smaller jar so I don't have to tip it out of the large jar. So I'll leave this out and I can work on that later today on the live maybe. This is not user friendly. I keep my onion powder in the fridge because the Burlap and Barrel onion powder doesn't have anti-caking agent, so it bricks into like a clump, and it gets worse with humidity. So putting it in the fridge and or the freezer really helps out with preventing that from happening. In case you have those spices, that is my number one tip. If you have the toasted onion powder, put it in the fridge or freezer. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my lentils. I have you plugged in over there. I know you can't see anything. I'm going to try to unplug you and bring you closer while I'm here at the stove. This smells amazing, by the way. I'm smelling all of that onion just bloom right now. Yum. My battery might crap out, so this is a gamble, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. How's that view? You're not really stable here, unfortunately. There you are. That is where the broccoli is in that bag on the floor over there. So we'll get to that soon. Once the lentils are in, you're introducing moisture. You can turn up the heat, have it cook a little bit faster. I do this kind of like fishing the soaked lentils out of the soaking liquid because sometimes there's chunks of grit. And this is kind of just like extra insurance that I'm giving the grit to kind of fall to the bottom without getting just dumped all in. Sometimes I've had huge stones in there that, thank God, I've not yet cracked a tooth on. Yet. But one day, it's like my worst nightmare, basically. One small thing can ruin a lot. So, this is just kind of my precaution of sorts. I am also going to add in a little bit of smoked black cardamom. If I can find it. Oh my goodness. Okay, I can't find it. which means it's probably here, maybe. Yes, there we go. Smoked black cardamom. I've been using this in place of smoked paprika in like South Asian, Indian flavor cooking. It doesn't have that chili pepper, wood smoked mystique to it, but it does have a very earthy smokiness that I've been enjoying in savory dishes. Just grounds everything down a little bit and almost brings you to this kind of sweet curve, which is kind of ironic because smokiness feels closer to bitterness, but it does tend to like bring out the sweetness in other spices. And I'm gonna try something new here because I have this mustard powder and I've been really bad about using it, so I'm just gonna add in a little bit of mustard powder, which will make it slightly spicy, which could be good. We'll see. What I've learned about cooking with spices is if it's new to you and you don't want to like risk ruining a whole batch, just use a little. Use a little. It's great exposure therapy for you to kind of experiment with it and not get scared of it. And then you can slowly increase the amounts you use as you get more confident with it. It's sort of like not getting married on the first date kind of vibes, you know, go slow. And I did put water in the dal blend jar just to kind of shake out all of the spices that were stuck in there, and I will pour it in shortly. Beautiful. The umami blend has a little bit of black mineral salt. I do think I'm going to add in some extra salt. I'm going to use up some more of my black lime and chili salt. I've been trying to use this more recently because I've been holding on to it for a couple of years now, and I do feel like the black urfa chili and the silk chili, which has a little bit of oil in there, they get kind of like old, and the flavor just isn't as bright anymore, so I'm trying to use up my older spices so I don't waste them. Spices don't have expiration dates, but they definitely don't taste any better if you let it sit for longer than 2 years. All the essential oils kind of just start to fade and get a little less vibrant. So I'm sure there's some spices out there that benefit from aging, but not the ones that I have. Okay, so we're gonna bring that up to a boil. I'm gonna bring you back here and I will show you more of my haul. I got a box of 9 plums that apparently purport to be extra sweet for $2. So that's a great deal. I don't really know how great they are. This one looks like it's definitely worse for wear. So maybe we'll take that out and eat it or throw it out in case it's not good anymore. Yeah, it's a little moldy, but I'm gonna see. My mom has always told me not to ever eat fruits that look moldy because the mold has probably spread through the soft tissues. And she's probably right because mom is always right. But I don't really listen to advice until it's too late, you know, so. What I like to do is conservatively cut away all the parts that were very localized to the mold. So that's the bottom half here. I like to chuck that, and I like to look inside. Inside looks pretty good actually. There's no like mush when it's really bad, it'll be moldy. It'll be super transparent or sludgy. This actually smells quite fresh, so I'm just going to taste it. Tastes okay. I needed a snack, so this is my snack. So yeah, are they super sweet? No, not really. Are they good? Yeah, they're plums. Next up, I splurged today. I went to the farmer's market. I have been craving meat. It doesn't happen very often, but I do. And I bought some ground turkey from the farmer's market. And it was expensive. The price has gone up. This was about $9 a pound. This was a little over a pound. It was like $9.68 or something, and he cut me a small deal, and he just called it at $9. But yeah, $9 for a pound of ground turkey from the farmer's market. I feel bad about eating meat, and I don't feel good about eating meat that's been raised rough. So I think this is a fine splurge for me. I'm sure Memo will come asking for some, so maybe we'll cook some that is unseasoned so that he can have some too. But yeah, damn guys, I don't know about these prices. I don't know how people are doing it these days. And then I got 4 bundles of broccoli for $1.50 each. It was 2 bundles for $3. They're big bundles. This was $1.50. And I got 4 of them. Okay, so I have a lot of broccoli to clean today. This is $6 worth of broccoli, and I got 3 apples for $1. I haven't treated myself to farmer's market apples in a long time. I don't know why, but I skipped out on farmer's market apples for like a month, and then I just had a hard time going back to them. It is literally like 9 times the price now, basically, because I can get reliably 3 apples for $1 from my corner grocer, and the farmer's market apples, even if I buy like the discount bags, it's like 80 cents to $1 per apple. It's just like my brain just doesn't want to spend that much on an apple, even though I could technically spend that much on an apple. Because if you've been paying taxes this month, you'd know that saving $8 a week doesn't even come close to what I have to pay the government to bomb other countries, so I don't know, it's a moot point, isn't it? But yeah, that is what I bought today. And our lentils are up to a boil now. So I'm going to turn down the heat. I'm going to give it a stir. And now what I'm going to do is to clamp a lid on it and just let it go for about 5 minutes. And then I'm going to shut the heat off and let it steam in there. This is kind of like my way of trying to use less cooking gas, basically. I don't really know if it makes a difference. It just makes me feel better. But basically, residual heat cooking can do a lot for beans. You don't have to cook your beans with the stove fire on for like 3 hours straight, you can heat the beans for 20, 25, maybe even 30 minutes and shut the heat off. Leave it in there for like 45 minutes, you know, anywhere in the 32-hour range. It will continue cooking because of how much heat is trapped in there. And you can give your stovetop a break, save a little bit of gas. I don't know if it matters, but you don't have to keep the fire on for all 3 hours. Ooh, I love the education about Chana Dal. Thank you. Yo, I don't know what's going on. I just finished my period, but it feels like I'm starting to cramp again. Is anybody's cycle like really off? I don't know what's happening to my body, guys. I just know that I'm still alive, and that's great, but things are weird. I might have to bring in a chair so I can sit, because I don't feel good right now. Got my jingle bell chair now. Haven't sat on this in the longest time. I should wipe it. Crazy that I bought this from all the way Carroll Gardens in Brooklyn. On the subway too. I've done some crazy things in my life, y'all. Okay. Grabbing a fork. And I also bought a papaya. It doesn't smell ripe, so maybe I'll let it sit for a day. Product of Mexico. It was 99 cents a pound. This was a smaller papaya, so it didn't feel like too big of a commitment. I haven't eaten papaya since, I don't know, maybe a long time. I don't know if I've eaten it maybe just once or twice max after Mom died. But this was a fruit that Mom would always try to push on me that I hated. And she pushed it on me starting in high school because of my menstrual cycle irregularities. And she had read that it is very supportive of regulating menstrual cycles. And so she wanted me to eat a lot of papaya, which I really didn't like eating because I just don't like the flavor of it. But I did have a papaya smoothie once, and it was really delicious. So I've been thinking about papaya and maybe eating it with yogurt. But then I did Google it, and Google told me not to eat it with protein or dairy. But I think I might do it anyway. But yeah, I bought this. It's about 2 pounds. It was about $2 for this papaya. I don't know how good it is. The stem does look like it's starting to get a little bit moldy. But I don't know, fruits like persimmon, they start looking like they're rotten before they taste good. So I'm gonna eat some papaya and hopefully my body starts feeling better. I don't know, food as medicine, right? Maybe this is the year that I have to like take it really seriously, because it doesn't feel like doctors know what's going on. Doesn't feel like I know what's going on. Just doesn't feel like anybody knows what's going on. I go on Reddit like every week to see if anyone in the long COVID haulers subreddit has discovered any new pills for me to take. But hopefully, slowly, our bodies will heal themselves. And maybe the key thing is just to avoid stressors, which is hard to do. But that probably is the key thing to do, is to avoid additional stressors as much as possible. Guys, there are a lot of natural remedies for period stuff. You know, there's like no knowledge of this in the United States, I guess, because Big Pharma wants a share of everything that you do. And they want to sell you all the cures, even though they tend to just make people sick sometimes. But there's a lot of plants that can like have abortive properties. They regulate your cycle, and if you're not careful about the dosage, it can do harm, because obviously everything is about dosing properly. So there are things that can probably help us in so many different ways, but obviously everything has side effects, even natural stuff, so just be careful. I was even Googling whether or not people ate the seeds of papaya. I never used to. My mom always told me not to because they're hard to digest, and I found out that they have a variant of like basically cyanide in them. However, in low doses, apparently papaya seeds have anti-parasitic properties. So again, dose it, right? Like maybe you don't eat every single seed that comes with your papaya, but maybe you eat like 5 a day. I don't know. Maybe it'll do something. Maybe not. Maybe it'll kill you. Who knows? Some people apparently take the seeds, clean them, dry them completely, and apparently they can be a good peppercorn substitute, like black peppercorn. So some people dry it and then grind them up like black pepper, but apparently some people say that it tastes absolutely disgusting, which if you ever had black pepper just like raw in too much quantity, obviously that will taste kind of disgusting too. So again, just like cooking with any other spice, not only in terms of medicinal property, quality, effectiveness, but also in terms of taste, you might have to adjust the amounts to find a sweet spot of where it could be useful. I guess all I'm trying to say is everything that we've been looking at as a waste product might have a use. You know, I'm like trimming away the bottom, the fibrous bottoms of these turnips, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, these look so much like baby ginseng, like Chinese ginseng, which are so expensive. Obviously they're not the same plant, probably don't have the same properties, but I'm just saying, maybe these little roots that I'm cutting away are actually really good for me, and just because I don't like the texture and taste, I'm throwing away something that potentially has amazing properties. I just don't know. So, kind of always keeping a mind out for what is actually trash and what has just been marketed as trash, so that other things can take its place for ignorant or nefarious reasons at worst, or just kind of unthinking, reflexive habits at best. Or maybe they are poisonous and you don't want to touch them. There are obviously plants that are poisonous to humans that you should not touch at all. But there's a lot of black and white in the way we've labeled things, I think. that might be actually disservicing us sometimes. So I trimmed these radish, and I washed them clean. Oh, I missed one. And then I just like to chomp on them raw. You can obviously cook them, but these like Japanese turnips are so tender and crisp. I almost feel like it's a waste of their flavor properties and texture properties and also my time to cook them. I'm sure they're great cooked. I'm just very lazy. Sometimes I like to dip them in a little bit of chili oil. Yeah, again, anything that can be sold for a profit will cause conflict, as we see now with just how much weapons we're manufacturing and selling and using on people. In order for the weapons to have perceived value, you have to be able to deploy them. And so a lot of our world now is just generating quote unquote value by killing people. Which is why I feel more at peace, like, not dealing with money as much as possible, basically. I feel like before I used to have a lot of stresses about, like, oh my gosh, I should be saving for retirement and this and that, and like, how do I make more money, and how do I save more money? And now I just realize that that is so much stress for something that already causes so much damage. It's obviously escalated in the last few decades, I think. If you believe in the evolution of capitalism, and if you believe that we are in the late stage of capitalism, then it all makes sense that like this escalation of conflict for profit is just pushing us to potentially our destruction, the world as we humans know it, and also for the ultimate destruction of capitalism. Everything has a cycle. Capitalism has to die at some point. And I think at this point it can only die by its own hands. So the acceleration of the harms that it's committing is, I hope, I don't even know what hope is anymore, but I hope a sign of its own incoming death. Not to say that whatever follows capitalism will be better. I don't know. Who knows at this point? It can always be worse. It's been my motto for the last few years, is it can always be worse. Okay, this batch of greens is actually really gritty. This second rinse is very gritty. We might have to do a third one. And grit is good. It means they came from the ground. I just don't necessarily want to eat that ground. But the good thing about doing a third rinse is that third rinse water I will keep for the broccoli cleaning process. So hopefully the third rinse won't be as gritty. Okay, while that is soaking, I'm gonna start the green peas in the Instant Pot. And then we can check on the lentils. Mom's trusty Instant Pot. What a delight. I rinsed these shortly before I started the live, so I'm not going to waste any more water. We're just gonna go in here. I ate some pretzels yesterday that were honey mustard flavored, which is like, I've discovered that I like pretzels maybe more than potato chips or even tortilla chips. And I was thinking of how delicious those were, and then I thought, wow, I have this yellow mustard powder that I've not used barely. What if I made some honey mustard snacks using this mustard powder? So I'm brainstorming of ways to like cook up honey mustard stuff for myself to kind of mimic that delightful snack. Okay, peas. Sorry. Water, about 1 inch-ish deep. These have been soaked overnight, so they shouldn't require that much more water. And I don't want a lot of broth. I just want enough to cook the barley, which is going to be up here. Wait, new bag? Oh. Huh. Could have sworn I had an open bag. All right. New bag of barley. I'm gonna add some flaxseed in there for health. Just been trying to eat for health since my health is so shot. don't measure it. As you've seen maybe in the video, I just pour. Okay. That felt like a good pour. There's technically 16 servings. You can't see because it's backwards, but there's 16 servings in this 30-ounce bag, which means there's roughly 2 ounces per serving. I don't know how much I just dumped in there. But still feels quite full, so maybe I use 10% of it. Maybe there's 2 servings in there. IDK. Do I want more in there, actually? You want more? Okay, I want a little more. I just changed my mind. It's all about randomness. Okay, that feels good. That feels like it's gonna be enough for 3 days. Every time I cook, I'm just like, how much do I not want to cook again? That's how much food you're gonna make, is however much will allow you to not cook again. Sorry, I just saw a smudge on my cabinet and now I have to get rid of it. Okay. Do I want oil in here? I don't think I want oil in here. I think I just want it plain, maybe with a little bit of salt. There are sticks in my flaxseed, so I guess always be checking your products. I'll just go in with the black lime and chili salt to use up the salt. And maybe a dash of mustard. Who knows what that'll do? That's fun. Maybe a little bit of black pepper. I want to get the really powdery bit, so I'm shaking it upside down to kind of let the looser ones settle into the cap. And then dump it from the cap. I ground these peppercorns myself in my coffee spice grinder, so it's not a very precise grind. So there's a lot of variation in the grind. So I've been trying to use up the looser ones first, since the volatile oils tend to be more exposed in the more ground up pieces. And they're just spicier. So I like to put the spicier ones in the longer cooking Instant Pot recipes. Okay, maybe a dash of smoked cardamom for intrigue. Anything else you would like in here? Oh my gosh, let's add in some chia seeds. Why not? This is like a multi-grain porridge now. And a little bit of white pepper. Anything else? I want something red in there. Do we have something red in there? Okay, I'm gonna add some of the saffron golden booster in there because it has the turmeric to kind of enliven the black pepper for that balance. What else? I want something else in here. Ooh, fennel? Yeah, I want some fennel in here. I think it's because my stomach has not been doing too good lately. Fennel settles the stomach and it's green. My stomach was trying to communicate with my brain. We succeeded. Okay, this is what the pot looks like now. It's very pretty actually. From my point of view, it's like this golden broth with green vibrance floating all in it. And I'm just gonna cook it in the Instant Pot. And maybe I'll add some turkey in there after. I don't like pressure cooking meat that isn't like a huge chunk. I feel like if it's already ground meat, it can be very flavorless after it's been pressure cooked. Maybe I'm just not cooking it the right way in there, but I haven't been the biggest fan of that method of cooking meat. Okay. Peas are going. Let's check up on our lentils. Let's see how mushy they are. I'm gonna move you over here. So they've just been sitting in here with the heat off for a while now. And in that time, the lentils have soaked up most of the moisture, as you can see. Very little broth left in there. I can see the bottom of the pot. And the lentils are now soft. This is my ideal time and method to mush up the lentils now. If you were to add other ingredients besides just water or broth with the lentils, I've found that it is very hard to get the lentils to really creamify themselves unless you have an immersion blender. But if you use like just enough water to kind of have the lentils soak it all up without it being a sloshy, soupy viscosity. So this is like on the edge of perfect. If I had just like half a cup less water, I would be smushing this up into a smooth paste even faster. But basically what I do is I like to just kind of churn my spoon in there, and it kind of breaks up the lentils, and then the lentils turn into a creamy, more homogenized soup, basically on their own, or sludge, or mush, whatever you want to call it. And then it's after I do this kind of like homogenization that I start adding in other ingredients. So I'll add in greens, I can add in tofu, I'll add in some of cooked rice that I have in the fridge. Apparently if you eat rice and lentils together, that also helps you unlock some nutrients. I think it's because beans and pulses, like lentils, contain some amino acids in their protein structure, but not all of the amino acids that humans need. So if you pair it with a starch like rice, it kind of collects all the essential amino acids that you need for your protein use in your body. So maybe that's why a lot of cultures have some variation of rice and beans. Could even be pasta or bread, or I don't know, whatever grains you want basically. So this is like pretty smooth now. I don't need to get it super homogenized, but that's great. All I need to do now is wash my greens and add them in there, add my rice, which I will show you is in this fridge. Ta-da. I have been also craving rice. I truly feel like my mother's spirit has potentially taken residence in my body with time. She used to love rice. I used to be so tired of rice because I grew up eating rice every day. Like, rice is kind of like the base starch for all Chinese home-cooked meals. And I just got so sick of eating rice. But for the last year, I've been just craving rice. So I finally got myself some brown basmati rice and white basmati rice. Basmati is not the kind of rice I grew up with, but I have a lot of South Asian Indian stores near me, and they carry a lot of different kinds of long grain rice, so I figured, why not? Since I have all these lentils to eat, maybe I just go with what the culture usually eats. And so I bought some basmati rice. It's really lovely. It's very easy to cook. It's actually, I feel like it's easier to cook than Asian medium grain rice, which can be either uncooked if you don't use enough water, or like super mush if you use too much water, which is fine. But I feel like basmati just do a better job of like absorbing the moisture more evenly. So I feel like basmati is like a very friendly stovetop rice to make. Whatever the case may be, I'm very satisfied with the rice that I have on hand, and I'm basically making some sort of like leftover khichdi, which is just rice and lentils turned into mushy, delicious porridge. This is kind of like Indian congee in a lot of ways. I've heard people describe it as like a food you eat when you're not feeling well, when you're under the weather and your body needs nourishment. It's probably easier to digest, which is exactly the kind of function of congee in Chinese cuisine. It's kind of like a sick food for me, something that I eat when I'm not feeling well. Oh, you know what I forgot in here? Coriander. I do like some coriander, but I only have whole seeds, and I don't want whole seeds in there. Maybe the Dal blend has some coriander in there. Anyway, wow, after 3 months of not going live, I'm not used to talking. Maybe that's why I'm tired. Okay. Would those Japanese radishes do well in making doncini? I don't know what water kimchi is, and I don't know the process involved in that, but I bet they would be delicious as pickles, yes. Unfortunately for me, with white radishes and turnips, I don't know how to make pickles out of them that doesn't result in this like super pungent, rotten smell that comes out of my fridge every time I open the fridge. And it's almost not worth it for me to turn them into pickles, because every time I open my fridge that smell comes out, and then it just kind of like perfumes my entire kitchen and sometimes even goes into the other rooms, and it just smells like this invisible ghost let out a huge fart, which is my role in this apartment, is to be the ghost that lets out farts. But radish and turnip pickle farts smells are intense, and it really dampens my appetite to make them, even though I love eating radish pickles. The yellow ones that are usually dyed with turmeric or other additives that you use in like gimbap, oh god, I love those so much. I tried making those at home, and the taste is great. You know, they're sweet and they're salty and they're crunchy and they're snappy and they're juicy. But the smell, I don't know what to do about the smell. If I could get rid of the smell of those pickles, I would be eating those pickles every meal. If I could make sure that I like don't have bean farts every time I eat so much beans, I would be eating so much more beans. But I do feel like every time I eat as much beans as my heart desires, I literally can't go out into the world, because I'd just be unleashing toxic fumes everywhere I go, and that's not really fair to people around me. So I actually started looking into like these enzyme pills. Apparently some people take these pills that apparently help them break down the gas. This one says also helps bean and cabbage digestion. So I'm gonna give it a try. I don't know if it's gonna work, because I have bought Beano before, and Beano does not work for me. Maybe I just need to take like 3 times the dose of Beano. I don't know if you can OD on Beano, but I'll give this a try. I'll report back. I don't know. I was telling my friends that if I could eat beans and not have bean farts, my quality of life would immediately increase by like 200 to 300%. I would be so happy. That would be my superpower if I could choose like a hilarious superpower, is to not have farts. That would be amazing. This is not a new chair. I bought this chair when I moved in here. I hauled it all the way from Brooklyn on the subway. It's crazy. It's like cast iron. It's so heavy, but look, it swivels. I mean, I didn't position it well, but it does a 360 swivel. But yeah, it's heavy as hell because it's all cast iron. People were looking at me like I was insane on the subway. Because I was. I've heard of people telling me to try epazote. I think I tried it once. I really don't think it helps that much. And I was just talking to a friend who has also tried to eliminate the gaseousness of bean eating. And he also told me that he tried epazote, did not help. I tried cooking nori in with each batch because apparently like having kelp or seaweed in the batch helps too. I don't know, guys. Anyway, okay. It is time for me to cook the greens. I wonder if I'm feeling tired today because I walked yesterday. That's possible. Maybe I'm getting a little PEM today. Post-exertional malaise. I've been taking these New York City surveys. They like incentivize it by saying, we'll give you a $10 gift card if you respond to these questions about long COVID. And of course, I'm like, sure, give me my $10 gift card. But I've been taking these surveys for like a year now. They send one out maybe like every 3, 4, 5 months. I've taken like 3 or 4 of them. And every time, all the questions ask about these very specific symptoms. Like, have you experienced A, B, C, D, E in the last 30 to 90 days? And how many days out of the last 30 days did you experience these? And on those days that you experienced these, how much did those symptoms keep you from doing normal activities that you were used to doing before? And every time I answer those surveys, I'm like, yeah, they know long COVID is a thing. They know, because otherwise they wouldn't have all these specific symptoms listed, that 80% of which I have experienced on a consistent basis in increasingly disturbing intensities over the last 2 to 3 years of my life. But they know about this condition, and everybody still just pretends that COVID doesn't exist and that it has no long-term effects, and nobody's masking. Every day I go out, I see maximum 10 people with masks on. And that's if like I've been on the subway and I've gone into stores and I've walked over an hour. Nobody really for the most part is masking. But the city knows this is a thing. And the city knows that there's a lot of people being affected. So I'm just curious what the purpose of running these surveys are if they're not going to be doing anything to prevent more people from suffering this way. Like, what are they doing with these results? Just telling us that congratulations, we all have long COVID. Here's your $10 gift card. It does feel like that's what they're doing so far. But I guess things at the public level moves slow. am. I still see grit on some of these. Alright, because I still see grit on some of these, even though the water is like 90% clear, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blanch these greens so that they kind of have one more chance to relinquish their grit in boiling water. So I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to use my trusty IKEA pot that you've seen featured on Budget Eats many years. Now we're going to blanch the greens. I'm going to chop the greens up a little bit so that they get easier to fit into that small pot. I could be using a larger pot. Yes. I don't feel like taking it out. I actually haven't experienced this in a very long time, but my energy when I first started this live was maybe at a 7.58, and now it's down to like a 4 all of a sudden. So very interesting. I Skyped my uncle for the first time in a few months. I basically stopped regularly Skyping with him about 4 or 5 months after Grandma passed away, just because my health was also not good. But so it's been a oh my god, my words. It had been a while since I had Skyped him, and the first thing he says is, "Oh, you've gained weight," which is a fairly normal thing to say in conversation. You've either gained weight or lost weight whenever relatives see you. And I thought it was really interesting because I've been weighing myself and I've actually not technically gained weight, even though I probably lost muscle, but my face looks more bloated and like saggy than before sometimes. So because we're Skyping, he doesn't really like see my body, he just sees my face, and my face was, especially right after waking up from sleep, was like pretty bloated, so it did look fatter. But I was on the long COVID subreddit yesterday, and a lot of people have been reporting like aging, right? Either their skin on their hands look like they've gotten dry and like aged 10 years in a span of weeks or months. Or their eye bags have gotten worse, which I don't know, it's hard to tell. I also have allergies now, like I have allergic reactions now to memo. It could be cat allergies, but I feel like they've been getting worse. So I've been rubbing my eyes a lot, which also kind of damages the skin around your eyes. A lot of contributing factors. But basically a lot of people are experiencing like just kind of like accelerated aging, which checks out with what they're learning about long COVID. Long COVID disturbs the mitochondria, the energy powerhouse of your cells. It's not able to output energy, and your cells basically like just can't work and function as well as they used to anymore, which leads to depletion of energy for your physical output levels. And also like it ages your cells. Like your cells basically it just get older. So then it makes sense that you look older because your cells are getting older faster than before. All of this research is coming out. Nobody's paying attention to it unless they're like specifically seeking the latest updates on all of these. And yeah, it just makes me think a lot about how much repression is necessary to get us through the day-to-day of our lives. I think we've been having to repress a lot more than before because we know a lot more than before. But I also feel like there is a capacity for repression, at which point like your body kind of taps out and you break the dam of everything you've been trying to press down. So I feel like that also makes me feel really exhausted. There are so many things you have to kind of like ignore to get on with your day now. Just because there's just so much updates about all the things going wrong now. I feel like we're just getting so much news all the time, nonstop, and it always feels like it's getting worse somehow. So I'll do it in batches. I won't crowd it too much, that way any grit that does still stay on the leaves at this stage can kind of fall to the bottom of the pot. Maybe I'm tired because I haven't really eaten today. That would make sense, June. That would make sense, wouldn't it? But I also get energy crashes after I eat these days. So it's kind of like a lose-lose. It's a lose-lose until I figure out what the balance is of like how much to eat before I push over that energy crash stage and still eating enough so that my body has energy to run on. I feel like long COVID is teaching me balance in real time. Balance about how much energy I can expend before I rack myself into energy debt and put myself out for 2 to 3 days. Balance about how much to eat before I push myself past the kind of like digestive overload threshold. how I have to be like way more in tune of taking care of myself on a much more frequent basis, because I have to constantly be paying attention to how my body is feeling and taking care of it before it gets worse. So in a way, long COVID is trying to like develop some sort of superpower in me, I think, of getting in touch with myself. Maybe for the first time in my life. I don't know. But also, in this process of getting in touch with myself, realizing how much of my body is not actually my property. How much of my body does not actually belong to me. How much it is moving with so many different parts within me that I don't control fully at all. This feels like a lot of greens, but once it actually cooks down, it won't be too much. And I kind of like a almost 50-50, sometimes like 35-65 balance of vegetables to lentils and starch. So I feel like this is gonna work out, but we'll see. This is like a really hilarious budget meal because the greens, if you count them as 50% of the bundles, the greens alone are $3, which are way more expensive than the lentils and the rice in that pot. Because I got 4 pounds of lentils for $3. And that was probably like not even a pound that I used. I feel like this is gonna feed me for 2 days. We'll see. Just waiting for the water to come back to a slow boil, and then I can fish these out. Ooh, bay leaf and beans. Okay, noted. Noted. I only soak chickpeas with baking soda overnight. Do other beans also respawn the same way? Also, soaking chickpeas with baking soda doesn't really eliminate gas for me. But I guess it could always be worse without the baking soda. That's true. Mangoes are in season. Oh, that's good to know. Oh, back to a boil. All right. You know what, instead of going into the strainer, why don't I just go into the lentils? That would save me some process now. Turnip greens also smell really almost creamy when they cook. It's like this fresh, creamy green flavor. With a little bit of like mustardy note to them. All right, we can get ready to clean our broccoli. Broccoli are gonna be great. There's a lot of stems, so I can make a whole stem dish later. Not today. Too much for today. But I'm definitely gonna prep the florets and the stems today. We can fit about 2 bunches in the bowl. Wow, with this much broccoli, I almost wonder if I should make some chickpeas so that I can make hummus to eat with. Broccoli. Okay guys, I'm gonna go pee, and then I'm gonna come back, and hopefully we will get to eat some stuff soon. Have you ever made hummus with black sesame seeds? No. I feel like that's a very different flavor profile. I might have made it with black sesame paste once. It doesn't taste like hummus, that's for sure. Not to say that I've ever made like really good, authentic kind of hummus. My hummuses have always been pretty sacrilegious hummus. But I think black sesame tends to have more of a toastier, sweeter dessert note to it. I also think that Middle Eastern tahini doesn't taste at all like Chinese sesame paste. Very different flavor profiles and different kinds of sesame. Some of them are toasted, some of them are not. Some of them are whole, some of them are not. So I feel like it's just gonna give you a very different product. I mean, when hummus was having its like trendy heyday, people were making dessert hummus, like chocolate hummus. Maybe black sesame would be good in that. But that shit is like so sacrilegious. I don't even know how we got to chocolate hummus. It's just so wrong. It's so wrong. Black bean brownie, like, okay, fine. But that ain't hummus if you're making chocolate in it. That is just kind of delusional torture. Putting the lentils back on the heat. We're gonna start cooking the greens. I will bring you closer so you see more, if you would like to see more. I feel like some people have a hard time understanding or accepting or believing me, but I really do like eating this. I look forward to eating this. It just feels so comforting and nutritious and homey in a lot of ways. I add a little bit of mayo or chili oil or both. I sprinkle on more spices. I stir in a little bit of nutritional yeast if I want it to have more B vitamins and cheesier mouth feel and nutty note. There's a lot to play with, even though I've already seasoned this. I could even add canned fish to the top of a bowl of this for extra nutrient, protein, enjoyment. I could add in some turkey right now. That sounds great, actually. Adding in a little bit of turkey in here would be so good. Let's do it. Let's add some turkey in here. No, I was pretty blessed with the storm. Didn't really impact me at all. A lot of other people got really badly affected. It's maybe like 250 right there. Wow, I've never cooked meat like this. I guess we'll see what happens. Just gonna try to break it up as much as possible so that it is evenly dispersed. The 2-spoon method is amazing for cooking ground meat, guys. Ground beef in a skillet with 2 wooden spoons and or spatulas instead of 1. You can break up the crumbles so much easier and better. It's almost like you got like a manual hand mixer going, you know? I'm so excited for this mush. You don't even know. I feel like I flunked a little vegetable into my shirt. Did I do that? Can't tell. Okay. As per usual, we are reaching capacity on this pot. Just in the nick of time. Man, if I really wanted to load up the protein, I could add some TVP. Then we wouldn't even be able to tell what's turkey and what's not. Because TVP tastes exactly like ground meat in texture. Now that we do have the ground turkey in here, though, I want to make sure we are cooking it until everything's cooked. So, I'm gonna let it stew for a little bit longer. I'm gonna set a 12-minute timer. It's definitely gonna be cooked by then since it's already been boiling for a few. But this will just help all the flavors kind of marry together, and our pot of peas is timing. What is this? This is lentils and rice, radish greens, a little bit of ground turkey, spices, a little bit of oil, and water. Oh, there are some uncooked turkey there we're gonna break up right now. It's my mush. It's my delightfully nutritious, comforting mush. I went a little bit heavy on the greens, I think, in this ratio. Probably could have used like 30% more lentils in here, honestly. But this is good because I bought a lot of broccoli and I aim to eat it. So it's gonna be a very vegetal week. I mean, guys, it's just gonna be ground turkey meat. What do you mean what it looks like and tastes like? It's just gonna be like very soupy, lentil-y, chili meat, basically. I don't think it's gonna taste that different from ground turkey meat. Have you ever tried soaking? Yeah, I soak all my beans. I normally don't ever cook beans unsoaked. Sometimes I'll do it with red lentils because they cook so fast. But I truly don't think just soaking them will take care of the gas. It might help, in which case I'm already doing it. Okay, I will not add TVP and taste the meat. We'll do a taste test of the meat. The meat is ground turkey, dark meat from the farmer's market. About $9 a pound. And probably one of 4 times a year that I'll buy meat. My body's asking me for a nap. I'm gonna eat chocolate instead. Okay. This not a great substitute, but I saw it and I want a piece of it. This is a guajillo chili and royal cinnamon chocolate bar, Mexican style. There is no dairy in here. So cacao, cane sugar, cocoa butter, panela sugar, guajillo, cinnamon, and vanilla bean. Yeah, farmer's market meat is expensive, but I hope they raise the animals better than what I'm getting from the supermarket. Sometimes I go to the supermarket and there's like a whole quarter of a pig basically for like 20 bucks. And I'm like, how is that working out? That doesn't calculate at all in my head. Just the amount of money you have to put into transportation of that meat. I also think American culture just consumes way too much meat, period. And I mean, I'm already eating like moldy fruit sometimes, so who am I to say? But I just feel like eating that much meat raised in those conditions can't be good for your body. Like it just can't be good for your body. So if I'm already feeling guilty for eating meat, and then I'm feeling extra guilty for eating meat that's so cheap, it probably won't feel good. And I remember one of the last things Grandma told me before she passed away was, don't eat things that you don't want to eat because your body won't digest them. Like, it won't be good for your body. I think back to that advice frequently. One, it's very curious that she like gave me that piece of advice basically less than a month before she passed away. Seemed like she was trying to make sure I remembered it. But it's tough, like, I'm sure I would feel probably a little better if I ate a little more meat. I've been sensing that my body is lacking meat lately. But it's just really hard to justify so many things going wrong in one go. It becomes very overwhelming to make these choices if you can't afford to buy the better meat. And you're stuck eating sad meat, which makes you feel better because you're getting the nutrients you need, but also makes you feel bad because the conditions that they were raised in were horrible and probably had health impacts on the animal that you are now also kind of like transferring and taking on. So I don't know, guys, it's very overwhelming if you think about it all. And I also feel like if you don't think about it all, on some level you're registering it all. I just feel like on some level we're all holding on to all the things that are going wrong right now, even if we don't feel like we are. I mean, I can say the same for like fruits and vegetables too. Like, people who are harvesting them are probably being paid shit, treated like shit. The land, the soil that it's being grown on is probably awful and full of all kinds of chemicals. So I could easily buy all the same things that I bought today, but at the farmer's market. But then I would probably be spending like closer to $60 to $70 for the same things. So 3 to 4 times the price. Yeah, Brenda, I totally agree. There's definitely something happening with my energy levels and the way that I eat. Because I realized about almost a year ago that I have been starting to crash after I eat substantial meals. I've been doing blood tests. My doctor was like, maybe you're pre-diabetic, maybe you're diabetic. Doesn't seem like I am based on the tests. But that's pretty normal for long COVID patients, is that all their tests come back normal. You can't really discern anything based off of those tests. But in all sorts of ways, your body is off. So that's what I've been observing, is that my body is definitely off. And I do agree with you. I think small meals off more often will probably be good for me. It'll be a more stable source of energy that doesn't cause spikes or crashes. I don't think it's a loaf. I think it cooked into ground pieces. The 2-spoon method works. So that was 12 minutes of simmering. So I think because of how small the turkey bits are, they're definitely fully cooked. And my greens are starting to lose that vibrant green color, which is exactly what I want, because I want them to be a little more creamed in texture, like softer, mushier, not as crunchy. So I think this is perfect. I'm gonna stir it a little bit to make sure nothing is sticking on the bottom of the pot, because sometimes when you cook meat, especially ground meat, they can get stuck because of the protein coagulation on the surface of the metal. So after I loosen up the bottom here, I'm just gonna turn the heat off, clamp the lid back on, and just let it kind of further cook in the residual heat. I'm gonna finish eating my apple, and I can show you the books that I got from the library, but I have to take a sit for a bit before I do the broccoli cleaning, which will be pretty boring. I would say the main cooking has been done. It's sitting here in this pot that you see. The peas and the barleys, I'll probably immersion blend a little bit to get them creamified. And then I'll probably cook turkey into that over the span of the week. Haven't thought that far ahead. One step at a time. What is reactive hypo? What is reactive hypo? I've never heard that term before. Alright guys, here are the books that I took out. Actually, let me grab one more. I've been really enjoying reading it. Okay, this is the book that I posted an excerpt of a few days ago. It's flipped. Oh my god, everything's flipped. Don't Talk About Politics by Sarah Stein Lubrano, How to Change 21st Century Minds. Very fascinating topics about how we just argue past each other, basically, which doesn't accomplish anything. You just get angrier and angrier and go nowhere. I reserved this, which just came in. A friend recommended that I read this, A People's Guide to Capitalism by Hadass Thier. I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly. Let me flip so you can see it. Apparently a really good kind of dummy's guide of sorts to Marxism, which I've also been reading or actually listening to audiobooks by a man called Todd McGowan, Todd McGowan, McGowan. He has some very interesting concepts and frameworks about capitalism, about kind of the failures in the framework of Marxism from a Lacanian point of view, so like more psychological, which I've really been enjoying. I feel like his books have been really good at describing how my brain thinks about these things. So it's been very interesting to see someone who is way more thought out and well-spoken speak on those ideas. I think I agree with probably 80% of everything that he says. The other 20% I don't necessarily disagree. I just don't think I like immediately understand it yet. So that's where I might need to reread it again or think about it a little bit more and digest it. But yeah, his books, I have listened to Pure Excess. It's about our relationships to desire and how capitalism and consumerism manipulates our desires to make us feel like we can live in a pure excess where there is nothing that we want for anymore, that we have everything that we need and that we can attain that state of bliss. And he kind of deconstructs how that's not really going to be a state that we can ever attain. And then I just grabbed 2 books off of the new shelf, just randomly. I thought they sounded interesting. One is called Ordinary Notes by Christina Sharp. I know nothing about these books, which is the fun part about going to the library, I guess, is it's like a free bookshop and you can just pick things up. It says Ordinary Notes explores profound questions about loss and the shapes of Black life that emerge in the wake. In a series of 248 notes that gather meaning as we read them, Christina Sharp skillfully weaves artifacts from the past. Public ones alongside others that are poignantly personal, together with present realities and possible futures, intricately constructing an immersive portrait of everyday Black existence. And I think usually when I decide to pick up a book, I just like to flip through it and see the form of it. And this is very aphoristic, short kinds of writings and thoughts compiled together. It has visuals in it. And I usually read something and see if I like it. And if I like it, I take it out. So, note 56. I am annoyed by the phrase Black excellence. It doesn't do the affirming work that many people who deploy it imagine that it does. Zakiya Iman Jackson gets it precisely right when she tells me that, quote, Black excellence, unquote, is the answer to a racist question. And there's a footnote there at the end of that. I wonder what the footnote says. Footnote is 66. Zakiya Iman Jackson in a personal conversation. So I thought this was very interesting, and it's easy to read. It's a thick book, but obviously some pages only have like 3 lines of text on it. And there's like something deeply poetic about the structure and the diction of the book that I really liked. Note 101, what is collected at the end of breathing? There's a footnote there too. I think it refers to another book that I don't have on hand, so I have no idea where it's from. So yeah, that was one book that I picked up. And then this one, which I thought had a really funny title, Die Hot with a Vengeance, Essays on Vanity by Sable Young. So I needed some lighter stuff, I guess. Page 176 says, more recently, self-care has become a balm for the consequences of hustle culture, most often as a practice of pampering. Think sheet masks, bubble baths, and massages. The language of value and worth and beauty is used a suspicious amount for campaigns that bank upon your self-improvement. Because you're worth it. You deserve it. Self-love. I've seen self-care invoked in the name of Botox injections, blowouts, manicures, facials, and any number of beauty treatments. And obviously there's nothing wrong with taking in beauty practices that make you feel more relaxed and attractive. The girl bosses need rest and relaxation. But the communal aspect of self-care, taking care of yourself so you can continue showing up for your community, has been pushed to the side, downplayed by the commercialization of our own well-being and self-optimization. Self-care now has become literal. It's not so much a pit stop to engage in communal agendas, so much as it is so you can keep up with your own. I suppose at best it means indulging in pampering as a means of self-soothing, and at worst, most cynically, it's come to mean anything that cushions the fear of mortality, or worse, letting yourself go. I feel like I'm gonna like this book. So yeah, those are the books that I've checked out from the library, and I'm eternally thankful for the library, and it's great. This book wasn't even available at the library. I actually requested it, and they bought it for me, which is why I love the library so much. Like the one that I live near has already bought like 2 different books for me. So at the end of the year, I usually just make a donation, $20, $40. Kind of feels like I'm buying the book and just releasing it out into the ecosystem of the library instead of hoarding it on my bookshelf, never to be read again. And it's kind of cool, right? This is a book that I wanted that wasn't available in the system, and now that they've bought it for me, other people can maybe chance upon it and find it and read something that I was interested in. There's something like really serendipitous and heartwarming, I think, about that kind of like separate degrees of separation with strangers. Oh, I never turned this heat off. That's hilarious. I hope nothing burned. We'll see. I thought I turned it off, but I did not. Oh yeah, the greens are so not green anymore, and nothing has burned, thankfully. So I'm just gonna unlid it now and let it kind of evaporate off. I'm very happy right now. It smells so good. Wow, what is, it's that doll spice that was in here. There's something like minerally sweet. It's like halfway between a very clean metal and a cold, soothing, wet rock paired with like toasty, warm clove, cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice notes. And a little bit of like burnt earth from the smoked cardamom. I also like how it's kind of soupier. There's like a little more liquid than I would like right now. But this also means that as the lentils cool, it'll congeal to a perfect kind of smooth. What is happening outside? Oh, it's Memo. Sorry, let me go check up on my cat. Don't know if he's thrown up or something. Do you wanna come? Do you wanna come see Memo? Maybe let's go see Memo and see if he's thrown up together. Come with me. My gosh. Mimo! Hi, babes. Did you finally get out of bed? Did you eat anything? Did you throw up? Did you poop? Yeah, there's kids out there. Oh, maybe you did poop. Is that why you're licking your butthole? What a little feline sculpture pose right now. Wow, maybe you had a really messy poop. Looks like you're really getting in there. I do like how cats are self-cleaning. That's very convenient. Okay, well, I'm gonna go check out your litter box and see what a mess you made. Yeah? Did you make a mess? Oh, nice! Nice poop. That's a really good poop, Memo. That's a really good poop, babes. You pooped well. Yeah. Alright, guys, give me 5. I need to go clean up the poops. What you doing? What you doing? Check out all the food. Check out all that food. I bought all that food for you. All of it. Memo, what were you doing in the kitchen? What were you doing in the kitchen? Were you trying to get at my turkey? Yeah? Okay, I'm gonna go take out your poop now. I'll be back. You're welcome to escape if you want. Here's your chance. Do you want to escape now? Your second chance. Going once, going twice. Okay, maybe tomorrow. You don't want to see the outside world? Good job, though. Great poop. Alright, folks. Oh my gosh. What are you doing? You're being so sketch. Alright, folks. We're gonna eat. I'm gonna eat. You're gonna watch me eat. Finally. It's time. After the cat poop, after the energy crashes. I'm going to take out just about 3 spoonfuls. And I'm going to taste for seasoning. See if there's salt balancing to be needed, since we did add all that turkey in. And here's Memo. I bet he smells the turkey. I bet that's what that is. You want food? You have food, babes. You have 6 different kinds of food out right now. And you know, when you eat the food that I give you, your poops are great. When you eat the food that you want to eat, your poops are bad. And you know what happens? You throw up, you have diarrhea, lots of mess, I got it clean, I can't sleep, you feel bad, I feel bad, you lose weight, no bueno. Capiche? Wow. I think we nailed it. Salt level's perfect. Spice level is warm, not overbearing. The creaminess of the lentils comes through at the very end and then leads the way into this sort of disintegrated, creamed turnip green. What is this texture? It's kind of like the texture of creamed spinach and slow cooked collard greens and enoki mushrooms. It has a little bit of that like tender stringiness of the enoki mushrooms, if you know what I'm talking about. They're the really long, skinny mushrooms that sometimes used in soups. You see his little butt? He doesn't like being seen. He likes hiding. Why are you hiding all the time? Oh, Trisha, I'm sorry to hear about your dog. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember Tuna. I cat sat for a cat named Tuna, and I think she was on a couple of lives about 2 years ago. Tuna recently passed away. It was very, very sad. It was very sudden, I think. She was the sweetest girl, and cat sitting for Tuna actually inspired me to get another cat because she was such an angel and so sweet. But Tuna is off in kitty heaven, I hope. And now I have Memo, barf boy. Wow, this is really good. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Salt level is perfect. Amazing. The turkey is really nice. I think that's what's making it so good, actually, is that for the first time ever in a long time, I have meat in here, and I think meat has natural umami. And I think especially poultry, chicken maybe more than turkey, there's a special kind of poultry umami that comes through that I really, really like. I've always said that if I could only have one meat for the rest of my life, it would probably be chicken, because the flavor of chicken umami is just so unbeatable. Chicken broth, chicken skin, roasted chicken, fried chicken, simmered chicken, poached chicken, Hainanese chicken. They're all great, and they all imbue so much flavor into the other things that you cook their juices with. Really good. I'm just gonna eat and clean my broccoli. So I think I might end the live now because it's about to turn really boring, and maybe I will phone my dad and chat with him while I clean the broccoli. There he goes, cleaning his butthole again. Thanks for cleaning your butthole for me, babe. I really appreciate that. Love it. Wow, extensive butt cleaning today. Yeah, get in there. Get in there. And there's our peas and barley. Perfect, beautiful, delightful. This week's gonna be good. We're gonna have lots of vegetables and protein, a little bit of meat, finally, and Memo, hopefully you won't have diarrhea. Hi, BB. Beautiful. Everybody have a lovely week. I hope you take care of yourself. And yeah, hopefully I'll have some more mental energy. I have like some footage that I've been hoping to edit into a video, but it's on hold because work has been a little crazy. But soon, I hope to have another 30-minute video for you. And that's about it. Rest up, eat well, drink, read, sleep. Memo, would you like to say anything to the people? Okay, thank you.